Good morning. Today is section 90, verses 1 through 12. The date is March 8th, 1833, in Kirtland, Ohio. It is for the church, and the prominent doctrine or theme is the keys of the kingdom. So some background. Jesse Gause had served with Sidney Rigdon as a counselor to the prophet in the first presidency. When he was excommunicated in December of 1832, the vacancy was filled by Frederick G. Williams, who had served as Joseph's scribe. At an assembly of high priests convened at the School of the Prophets on March 18th, 1833, Joseph ordained Sidney Rigdon and Frederick G. Williams by the laying on of the hands to be equal with him in holding the keys of the kingdom. So just an overview. This revelation concerning the keys of the kingdom declares that the prophet Joseph is the guardian of the keys of the kingdom forever. It defines the position of counselors in the first presidency, explains their duties, gives them instructions, warns Zion, and specifies that the gospel is to be preached throughout the world. And then it goes on. But that's the basics of what's happening in these first 12 verses. Well, the entire. But anyways, not really much to discuss this morning. There was one thing. In verse 4, it says oracles. And, without looking up that word that instant on my phone, just kind of sparked, well, what is an oracle? What does that mean? I didn't want to look too deep into it last night before I went to bed, but anyways. Joseph Fielding Smith says, the interpretation of the term oracles as used in this revelation is given in the dictionary to be an infallible authority. For the perpetuity of the church, that provision must be made for a successor to the president who holds the keys when he shall pass away. The word of the Lord was fulfilled, wherein he said that through Joseph Smith the oracle should be given to the church, and by command of the Lord the prophet, in Nauvoo, a few months before his death, called the apostles together, and said unto them that the Lord had commanded him to confer upon them all the keys and authorities which he had conferred upon him, so that the work could be rolled off of his shoulders onto theirs. He thereupon conferred upon them this divine governing power. But this governing power could not be exercised by any one of the 12 while the prophet was living. Upon his death, the right to preside and set in order and to hold the keys of authority in the priesthood and in the church rightfully belonged to President Brigham Young, and by authority of the ordination he had received under the hands of Joseph Smith, and by being sustained by his brethren and the church, he was vested with the supreme power. In the podcast, they talk a lot about the organization of the first presidency and the 12, and how power was, how the keys and authority was spread so that when the prophet dies, they're not gone forever. They're still on the earth, and so that they can continue to be passed down as time goes by. That's all I got for today. That's section 90, verses 1 through 12. Yeah. Alright, we'll see you later.